Hey, do you remember natural objects? It's okay if you don't. The mechanic is so obscure you might have encountered it without noticing. From Generation 3 and onwards, most Pokemon games will adjust the battle backgrounds to aesthetically match the environment that you were in. Lush environments will have grassy backgrounds, indoor environments will have tiles, rocky mountains will be rocky, beaches will be sandy, and so on. It's all for immersion. You aren't really meant to think about it or do anything about it. After all, it's not like you're playing Paper Mario: The Thousand-Year Door, so it's not like there were threats or free items in the background, right? Right? Well, while this is true in most Pokemon games, in Pokemon X and Pokemon Y, there are sometimes items hidden in the scenery of battles. Or rather, the items are hidden in the objects in the scenery of battles. The natural objects. When entering a battle with a trainer or wild Pokemon, there may be a platform or plateau that appears behind the opponent. On that plateau, there can be one, and only one, natural object per battle. The idea is that certain large multi-target moves will be so big that hitting the target causes collateral damage to the environment. The natural object in the environment is disrupted or broken, which then drops items related to the kind of environment you're in. You can collect this item after winning the battle. If you lose, run away, or catch the wild Pokemon, you get nothing. It's a little silly, really. I can understand getting nothing for running or losing, but if you catch the Pokemon, you should still pick up the item. It's right there. I guess it doesn't matter since it hasn't come back, so they can't fix it. Moving on, the odds that a natural object appears depends on the environment and object. Most of the supported environment types have at least 2 common objects and a rare object. So the odds for most areas are a 50% chance to get nothing, a 20% chance to get 1 common object, a 20% chance to get the other common object, and a 10% chance to get the rare object. The odds are naturally different for areas with different object distribution. Each battle environment can be broken down into areas that are woodlands, cliffs, beaches, snowy, or caves. All across Kalos, on every route and in every area, the game will assign one or more of these environments based on the visible features of the location. For example, Route 19 can be described as a valley with an east and west side. The game generally sees the western side as woodland, and the eastern side as cliff. Again, it will be easy for players to recognize the biome because the background will change to the appropriate one depending on which side of the valley they are battling on. Natural objects do not appear while surfing. I imagine because you're in the middle of a body of water. Now for the natural objects themselves. The natural objects come in a few different categories: berry trees, grass, rock formations, sand piles, snow piles, ice formations, and mossy rock. I know there are more specific names, but when they are names like Spiky Rock 1 and Spiky Rock 2, I prefer to explain it differently. Remember when I mentioned certain spread moves can cause collateral damage with the background? Now I can clarify something important. For each natural object, there are 2 or 3 specific spread moves that will cause the proper interactions needed to break them. If you use any other move, the natural object doesn't get interacted with. Berry trees are straightforward. They are trees with berries on them. They come in 6 different colors: green, purple, yellow, red, pink, and blue. These colors affect which outdoor environments the trees appear in, as well as what berries drop from the trees when disrupted. Green and purple trees appear in woodlands, yellow on cliffs, red and pink on beaches, blue and snowy. The tree color also corresponds to the general berry color dropped. Berries come in many colors and shades of those colors, so keep in mind that since these games are developed in Japanese, the colors are sorted from the developer's cultural frame of reference for colors. So that's why red berry trees include more orange berries than the yellow berry trees, or why the purple berry trees have berries that people may argue are still blue or hot pink. If you see color differently, more or less intensely, you'll just need to memorize. To make any of these berry trees drop their items, you'll have to use Air Cutter, Blizzard, or Twister, and if the opponent is hit by the move, the berry tree will be disrupted and drop the corresponding berries at the end of the battle. The spiky rocks are pointed boulders that can appear in cliffs and caves. Cave spiky rocks drop hard stones and float stones. Cliff spiky rocks drop the Firestone, Thunderstone, Waterstone, and Leafstone. They can both be broken with Hyper Voice or Rock Slide. Actually, most of the natural objects that aren't berry trees are broken by Hyper Voice or Rock Slide, so I'll add them to this section rapid fire. Ice formations and snow piles appear in snowy areas, dropping never melt ice and snowballs respectively. Sand piles appear on beaches and they drop stardust or soft sand. Mossy rocks appear specifically in Glittering Cave and drop luminous moss. That covers all the stuff broken by Hypervoice or Rock Slide. The next two are the round rock at the cliffs and the thin rock in the caves. These are both weather themed. The round rock must be hit with the moves Eruption, Heat Wave, or Lava Plume to break and drop the heat rock. The thin rock must be hit with the moves Muddy Water, Surf, or Water Spout to break and drop the damp rock. Finally, there is grass. Hey, this isn't ordinary grass, it's a rare natural object. If you use the moves Petal Blizzard or Razor Leaf, the grass will be destroyed and drop a Mental Herb, Power Herb, or White Herb. As you can see, these are really easy to miss. Or rather, they're really easy to assume they're just part of the background. I distinctly remember seeing these trees and formations. I was just assuming they were set pieces for variety to support the stereoscopic 3D on the 3DS. The issue is that I wasn't using any of the required moves to interact with these types, so I didn't break them. There are only like 13 moves total that can interact with a natural object at all. Then when you look at how those 13 moves are distributed, you see that you need Air Cutter, Blizzard, and Twister for all the berry trees, or to use Hyper Voice and Rock Slide for almost everything else. Blizzard and Hyper Voice are endgame moves, so most of the journey I didn't have them. Aerial Ace, Ice Beam, and Dragon Breath are moves that I always end up using over Air Cutter, Blizzard, and Twister because I prefer accuracy over power casually. The last time I've ever used Twister was to train a Dratini in Pokemon Fire Red version. No, not the re-release, on the cartridge back in 2004. Even if I did use Blizzard and was in the snowy area with the blueberry trees, I'm likely not going to be using Blizzard since there are ice types there, and ice is the only type that ice types resist. I played through both X and Y version and can confidently say that of all the moves that can interact with this mechanic, Surf was potentially my only chance at using this move. I even went as far as looking through these 13 moves to see which Pokemon learned them, at what time they first get access to the moves, and checked my old 3DS files, and yes, the only chance I would have had to break a natural object has to be with Surf. None of the good moves are learned early enough or by a Pokemon catchable early enough in the playthrough. My X version team was Greninja, Aegislash, Aurorus, Talonflame, Heliolisk, and Goodra. My Y version team was Delphox, Pangoro, Klefki, Dragalge, Tyrantrum, and Hawlucha. Even then, I know I didn't because when I checked my bag, I only had 2 damp rocks in each game. If I had interacted with the mechanic, I would have had at least 3 in either file. Based on the way I tend to play every new generation of Pokemon, this makes sense. I don't use Pokemon from previous regions on my team long term, unless it's Bibarel because it's so HM efficient. I usually avoid battles or run from them unless it's a force trainer battle or I'm catching the Pokemon. I can see why the mechanic never came back. It's not actively good or bad, just easily unnoticed. I only learned about this mechanic because it came up when I was reading every single move name and description in Japanese and English for the Iron Fist video. Ever since then, I've had this as something I could make a video about, but I hadn't gotten around to it. After all, it would be easier to just direct you to the Bulbapedia page. Then I realized, how would someone look up this obscure mechanic if a ton of people probably never interacted with it? So it made sense to bring it up since it would be nice for the people who encountered this to know that it exists. It's a 13-year-old game, but it might be useful for people replaying this casually or doing a Nuzlocke or something. That's all I've got. Let's see, I don't really care if you know about this mechanic already. So instead, how about you tell me your favorite Colosian Pokemon? Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you some other time. Bye!